Hi guys, it's Miss Thiessen here, and today we're looking at lesson 8.1 from our home finance unit. There are 4 lessons in this section, so 8.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 8.1. You'll see 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4 in other videos that I will create for you. So we're going to look at the last section, almost the last section of our unit here, and we're going to be looking at closing costs. So these are all of the costs involved in when you're actually ready to purchase a home. So before you buy a home, there are many things you need to consider beside the cost of the mortgage payment. So we've already learned about mortgages, we've learned about property insurance or home insurance, we've learned about property tax, which are all things that you have to pay on an ongoing basis. But when you're actually purchasing a home, there are a lot more costs involved than just the mortgage and some of those other tax things that you need to make sure you have saved up for. So let's take a look at what some of these things might be. So number 1, can you afford the home? Do you have enough money for a down payment? How much do you need for your down payment? Is the home you want to buy ready to move in, or do you need to renovate? Is there a lot of renovations that need to be done? How are you going to move your furniture? Do you own furniture? Do you need to purchase furniture? How about snow clearing equipment? If you don't live in town, very likely you're going to have to clear your own road, potentially your own driveway and everything. Do you have a lawnmower? Do you have furniture? Do you have your appliances? There's a lot of costs involved in actually purchasing a home for the first time. So these are not, closing costs are not costs that need to be paid on a yearly or a regular basis. These are all costs that come up when you first purchase a home. So these are all the one-time expenses involved when you first buy one. So here are some of them. I'll let you take a look at these on your own, but we're going to be going over almost all of these. Actually, we're going to be going over all of these in the next few lessons. So if you turn the page, the first thing we're going to take a look at is land transfer tax. So this is the tax that you pay when one person is transferring your land, or when the owner of a property changes, then you pay a land transfer tax. So this is a graduated tax and has many small calculations, each based on one category of value of the property. So if your property is worth, let's say, $200,000, here you can see on the chart, on the first $30,000 of that $200,000, you're paying a rate of 0%. So you're not paying anything on the first $30,000 of that property. On the next $60,000 after that $30,000, so you're paying 0.5% on that amount of property. It'll make more sense once we actually do a calculation with it. So let's try an example here. Oh, whoopsie. This example's done for you. Don't look at that one. This is my answer key. Hold on for a sec. We're going to do this together. Okay, so let's take a look at example 1. Kim wants to buy a house that costs $264,500. How much is the land transfer tax? So we're going to make, when you're given a chart like this, you're going to want to make yourself some columns here so it makes it easier for you to calculate. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like now and on a few other examples so that it makes sense to you when you're doing the assignment on your own. Okay, so we've got an extra column here. We're going to create a second column inside here called the tax column and give ourselves an answer or a space for an answer at the bottom. So the first thing we're going to do is note how much the property is worth. It's worth over all of these amounts. Okay, so it's over $200,000, which means that we're going to be paying some amount on each of these rates minus that first one. So there's no amount paid on that first rate. So how do we calculate this? Well, the first thing we need to do is change our percent into a decimal by dividing by 100. So if we divided 0 by 100, we would still have 0. So what we're going to do here is on the first $30,000, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our 0.00, which is 0% divided by 100, still just 0, times $30,000, the first $30,000 of this property. That is going to be equal to the amount of tax we have to pay on that amount that the property is worth, which is $0. So we pay $0 on the first $30,000. So if you have a property that's worth only $30,000, you're paying 0% for your land transfer tax. So you're paying $0. Now on this last column, we're going to call this column the leftovers. So what's left over after we take $30,000 away from our original house amount here? So here I'm going to write $264,500 minus $30,000. And what do we have left? If we're at 0, we would be done calculating our tax amount, but we're not at 0. We're going to be at $234,500. So if this number is still more than the amount that we have to pay next, then we're going to pay the next percent rate on the full amount. So basically we've got $234,500 left. So we are for sure going to have to pay 0.5% on the next $60,000 because this is worth well over $60,000 that we have left. So if we change our percent rate to a decimal, we divide this by 100. So 0.5 divided by 100 is equal to 0.005. So we're going to go 0.005 times 60,000. Because that's the amount that we're paying on next, the next $60,000. And what amount are we going to pay? Well, if you multiply 0.005 times $60,000, you get an amount of $300. Okay, next is to take our leftovers that we had from the last time, which was $234,500, and we're going to subtract the amount we just paid on. So we just paid on the last $60,000. So we're going to subtract $60,000. We're left with $174,500. Okay, is that still more than the next amount? Yes, it's still more than $60,000. So we're going to pay the next percent rate on the next $60,000. So if we convert this to a decimal, again, we're dividing 1.0 by 100, which gives us 0.01. And we're multiplying that by, if you guys remember, we're taking this amount. So we're taking 60,000, the amount that we're paying it on. We're multiplying it by the percent as a decimal. So that gives us $600 that we're paying. Okay, we've paid that amount, or we've covered that amount. Now we're going to take our last amount of leftovers that we had, $174,500, and we're subtracting the amount we just paid on it. So we're going to subtract 60,000 from that. 60,000, and that leaves us with $114,500. $114,500. Is that still more than $50,000? Yes, so we're going to pay 1.5% on the full $50,000. If this was less than $50,000, then we would pay the 1.5% on whatever was left. But since our amount here, our leftover amount, is more than $50,000, we're paying 1.5% on that, on the full $50,000. So again, divide this by 100 to get our decimal, 0.015, and we're multiplying that by the amount we're paying on, which is $50,000. And we end up paying $750 on that amount. Now again, same thing with our leftovers. We take our last leftover amount, $114,500 minus $50,000. So we're left with $64,500. So this is the amount that we have left to pay on. Now you see this column, it says over 200,000. So this is the amount over 200,000 that we have left. So this is what we're going to pay on. We're going to be paying on $64,500. That's what we're going to be paying on in this next column. So whatever this amount ends up being, this leftover amount that's over 200,000, that's what you pay the last 2% on. Excuse me. So we're going to take that 2%, convert it to a decimal, which is 0.02, and we're multiplying it by whatever we have left. So our $64,500, which gives us a total of $1,290. So I left us a little column here. So what we have left is, first of all, let's take a look at our leftovers. What do we have left? Well, we had $64,500 minus, and we just paid off the rest of it, $64,500, which gives us 0. So we have nothing left to pay on now. So this is going to be, we add these up, and that's going to be our full land transfer tax amount. So here is where we calculate the total. So the total land transfer tax is this whole column added up. So we're going to add up each of those, and we end up with a land transfer tax of $2,940. So here's a little trick for you. Here's a trick. If you're calculating the land transfer tax on a home that's $200,000 or more, so if it's $200,000 or more, you will always pay the first 1, 2, 3, 4 values. You will always pay the first 4 values. So if you want to write yourself a little hint, that's great. So if you're paying anywhere over $200,000, the land transfer tax, you can always assume you're going to pay these exact values added up. The last one is just you calculating the 2% on whatever's over 200,000. So let's do another example so you can see what the land transfer tax is on a house that's less than $200,000. Okay, example 2. Calculate the land transfer tax for a home sold for $87,500. Now you'll see here, this is less than $200,000. So we know we won't be paying all of these amounts, but we're going to make ourselves a chart again to look just like the last one because this is very helpful. We're going to make ourselves 3 columns. I'll just make the full one because we don't know exactly how many of these we need to calculate yet. So this will be our tax column. This is going to be the land transfer tax, and our total will go in the bottom there. So this is the amount. This is the answer to the question that we're looking for. This will be the land transfer tax. Excuse me. So, and then our leftovers we'll put in this last column here. This will be our leftovers. Here's our leftovers. Okay. So we know that there's for sure $30,000 here to pay on. So we're going to take our first amount, which is 0 times 30,000, and we know already this is going to be $0. So we pay $0 on our first $30,000 of our $87,500. The important part here is to calculate the leftovers. So we have $87,500 minus $30,000. That leaves us with $57,500. Now, here's where you're going to notice something. $57,500 is not equal to $60,000. So when you're paying the 0.5%, you're not paying it on $60,000 because you don't have $60,000 left to pay on. You only have this much. If the amount in your leftover column is less than the amount that it shows on the chart, you pay the amount in your leftover column. If this was over $60,000, we would calculate $60,000 times the 0.5%. But because this is under, this is the amount that we're paying on. So we convert our 0.5 to a decimal, 0.005, times not 60,000 because we don't even have that much left. We only have this much left to pay on. So it's 57,500. And if we multiply that together, we get $287.50. Now, to see if we have any leftovers, we're going to take 57,500 minus what we paid on. 57,500 equals 0. So once you get to 0 here, we're done. So that's all we need to add up. So now all we're adding up is this column, and we end up with a total of $287.50. There is our land transfer tax. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. Try the assignment, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.